following is a recovered transmission from the NebulaScript universe. Thank you again for listening to the Intrusion Event Part 2. If you enjoy atmospheric sci-fi stories, transmissions, and interactive worlds, follow the links below for more.
You stand firm and ask what she means by unstable. She exhales slowly before answering. Bulkhead delays, pressure lag, routes that reclassify after you pass them. Her voice is steady, but there's a practiced flatness to it, like she's repeating something she's already had to justify. She gestures down the corridor, not pointing, just acknowledging direction. That section doesn't fail clean. It hesitates. While she talks, the ambient hum of the station shifts pitch. A recycler stutters, corrects, then settles into a different rhythm. You ask how long she's been here. Not long, she says, much too quickly. Then after a beat, longer than expected. She seems to consider for a moment, as if considering her response. You don't have to rush, she says. The suggestion is gentle, almost kind. The station compensates better when movement is deliberate. When you start walking, she follows. Close enough that when the station falls quiet, you can hear her breathing. Your instruments say stable. You don't feel stable. The corridor to the habitat ring feels colder, tighter. Instruments don't fail outright. A light strip brightens just late enough to make you glance back. Somewhere in the walls, something clicks, too precise to ignore, too faint to identify. Your vital signs have been elevated for a sustained period, the suit reports. Heart rate and respiration in particular. You look back. The corridor's empty. Act 2, Systems Under Strain. The route to the habitat ring is simple. Straight run, nothing to justify concern. Your internal clock is off. It doesn't agree with this environment. Distance is also feeling consistent. Your balance adjusts half a second after you do. You check your wrist display, then remember maybe it can't be trusted. You try to anchor yourself with physical cues, scratches on a panel, a smear of frost, but even those feel unreliable. A wave of nausea hits and passes just as quickly. The habitat commons sit at the center of the circular chamber. Tables bolted to the deck, chairs slightly out of place. Mugs stand half full, the liquid inside frozen hard, half drunk. A deck of cards lies scattered mid-game beneath the overhead lights. Private quarters line the perimeter in a continuous arc. Doors closed, nameplates intact. No one steps out, no sound carries from within. No people, no bodies, no sign of departure, just the shape of activity without anyone left to cast it. Your skin prickles under your suit, a reflex older than training. The sensation isn't danger so much as inconsistency. Predators are consistent. Fire is consistent. Vacuum is consistent. This is something else. You step toward the corridor to communications. Something shifts. Subtle. Wrong. As if you've stepped across an invisible seam. Your hand snaps to the rail before you decide to move. Your fingers are already locked tight, knuckles aching, as if they've been there longer than you have. Your boot lifts, lands, then lands again in the same place. The impact echoes wrong, doubled, too close together. Nausea slams hard and fast. Your throat tightens. Saliva floods your mouth, bitter and metallic. Your stomach twists violently, then drops, as if gravity has been reassigned without asking you. You stagger, shoulder striking the wall, palm slapping flat against cold metal, because staying upright suddenly takes effort. Your suit struggles to keep up. Readouts jitter, timers stutter. Your inner ear insists something is deeply wrong. Gravity pulses, light, heavy, light again, never settling long enough to trust. Your body reacts before your thoughts can catch up, bracing, swallowing, breathing through clenched teeth. Your vision goes white. Shapes slide past at the edges of your vision, frames, silhouettes, pieces of structure, too fast, too incomplete to identify. For a moment, there's no depth, no distance, just motion without context. The white recedes. The corridor snaps back into place, close and narrow, forcing itself into focus. Your clocks disagree. The moments stretch. Minutes compress. Your HUD timestamps flicker, resettle, then flicker again. This isn't stabilizing. It's getting worse. You enter the distortion deliberately, trusting your suit and maintaining your posture. The dizziness spikes, and your body protests. Bile burns at the back of your throat. You override delay warnings and keep moving while the suit chirps, overlapping alerts it can't reconcile. Your HUD jitters, position correcting, then correcting again. For a moment, it feels like everything is lagging. Then the sensation flips. Your heartbeat feels louder than it should. A pressure builds behind your eyes. Not pain, just awareness. You press hard against that pressure now. You push and make it through the zone quickly. When you check your logs on the other side, there's a segment where timestamps stack on top of each other. The corridor steadies, but something in your perception stutters for a moment. You wipe your mouth, swallow the taste of acid, and keep going. When you look back, the habitat ring wavers, the air as if seen through deep water. Whatever is happening inside continues without you. Time distortion isn't uncommon in stations built around dying moons, localized faults caused by irregular rotation after years of extraction. This is different. The air feels heavier here. Your pulse drifts out of rhythm, then snaps back. A pressure builds behind your eyes, like something trying to synchronize with you, and failing. For a moment, you're not sure which sensation is yours and which belongs to the station. Moving away, you feel intact again. Your instruments settle into agreement, close enough to trust, at least for now. You move toward communications. The walls beyond remain half-formed in the dim lighting. Your readouts refuse to settle, shifting from one warning to another without committing. Your instruments don't settle so much as they pick a new kind of wrong to display. A wall sign updates as you pass, changing its destination timestamp from active to archived and back again. The hum of distant machinery comes and goes. There's a sound ahead, low, percussive, irregular. It reaches you through the deck first, a dull thump that echoes up your legs before it resolves into anything recognizable. You're reminded of the sudden eruption in the corridor when you first arrived. This is different. The sound repeats. It's dim in the flickering light. Your torch sweeps the corridor ahead, catching movement at the edge of its beam. Shadows that shift, metal that seems to flex. For a moment, it looks like something alive, something withdrawing. The beam stabilizes, revealing the problem. A cycling airlock blocking the corridor ahead. The door cycles and fails. The lights on the pressure gauge flash. The door starts to close, stops, starts again. A sharp hiss cuts through the corridor as pressure surges, then drops. Another cycle triggers immediately. Louder this time, higher, thinner, cut short mid-strain. It closes. The hatch looks scarred, tool marks, shallow dents, evidence of force applied more than once. The cycle starts again. You can only assume communications lies somewhere in the dark beyond the airlock. The airlock cycles at irregular intervals with no reliable safe window. Alarms lag behind pressure changes and manual indicators contradict each other. You step closer, watching the timing of the door. It pressurizes, vents, begins again. You angle your light into the seam just before the next closure, trying to see what the system is reacting to. Your HUD sweeps automatically, static. Then, a biosignature blips ahead. Faint, just beyond the inner hatch. It flickers. Another appears beside it, then a third, all at the same depth, too close together to be a coincidence. The portal continues cycling. Seal, pressure, vent. The airlock remains open through the next seal. The cycle completes. Instead of beginning again, the chamber depressurizes and stays that way. The biosignatures are gone. No warning, no explanation. The way ahead stands open. Beyond the airlock, the corridor widens into the communications area. Emergency lights burn low and tired. Power is unstable, but present enough to keep doors half responsive and systems half aware. Most consoles are tiered along the curve of the hull and sit dark. A few cycle through muted diagnostics, lines of green text repeating without context. A headset rests on one terminal. The mic is angled toward an empty chair. The internal channel hum is still active. Low static, no voices. One long-range request remains queued. Duration, 147 days. Status, awaiting reply. Your suit diagnostics settle. No movement logged. 2 paths are in front of you. Maintenance straight ahead, and the corridor to the right leading back to operations. Then you hear it. The unmistakable sound of boots on deck plating. Your HUD registers nothing. You catch a glimpse of motion at the edge of the lights, something crossing the far end of the corridor. By the time you focus on it, the passage is empty. Something here is moving without being counted. The station's temperature shifts colder. Frost thickens along the lower edges of the walls. The air carries a faint tang of ozone. You linger a moment longer, listening. Nothing changes. You've learned not to chase echoes. You stick to procedure. Maintenance is next. Maintenance opens into a circular chamber. Steel ribs curving overhead, conduit following the arc of the walls in disciplined lines. The lighting is dim but stable here, a steady wash compared to the flicker outside. Directly to your right, the corridor back to operations, straight shot, the quickest way out. Tool lockers sit flush between the structural ribs. At the center of the room, a low-maintenance bench rests in a recessed floor track, bolted in place and built for servicing heavy components. No signs of recent work, no debris, no loose panels. Everything is intact. Off to the side in maintenance, a sealed bulkhead is at flush into the opposing wall. It isn't dramatic at first glance, just a broad reinforced door with a control panel at chest level. Hazard placards line the frame in orderly rows. Authorized personnel only. High voltage, pressure differential, automated cycling. Old warnings still legible. The panel itself looks intact, very clean, free of frost and scratches. When you step closer, the panel activates and requests an access code. No key card or biometric scan. A code, something procedural. You've bypassed tighter locks than this, though there isn't much in it for you. The registry doesn't pay for heroics. It pays for records. You're here to collect data, not conquer doors. You could transmit your report now. Flag what you found. Strange readings. Time drift, enough to justify a notice. Or you could finish the sweep. You haven't checked every room, haven't run every layer. What you have is unusual, not complete. Reporting now would be defensible, so would pushing further. The door waits. Key code systems of this type are relatively easy to break. You slot a ghost key across the panel and let it cycle through possible combinations, suppressing the registry of invalid attempts. The system obliges. Within a minute, a soft internal click. Then the bulkhead disengages. No alarms, no hesitation. The door parts as if it recognizes you, sealing again behind you with almost courteous precision. For a moment, the passage feels earned. Beyond the bulkhead section, the narrow room extends to the edge of the dim light. A circular stairwell on your left goes to both the upper and lower levels. Power hums unevenly beneath the deck, present but strained. Behind you, the bulkhead door remains open and silent. The air is colder here. Still. You take another step forward and stop. At first there's nothing, just darkness pooling at the limits of your light. Then your eyes adjust and the dark resolves into shapes. Frost outlines limbs and faces in thin, uneven plates, clinging where heat should have been. Station uniforms, some patched, some torn. They aren't reaching, they aren't advancing. They're just standing. Your heartbeat doesn't slow. It settles into a hard, steady rhythm that feels wrong. Too controlled, like something else has found the pace and decided to keep it. You turn before you mean to, instinct screaming to put distance between you and the shapes in the dark. That's when you feel it. Not a voice and not a thought. Just the unmistakable sensation of something brushing the edge of your awareness, pressure against a closed door. Testing, patient, already inside enough to know where to knock. You back up, watching for movement, then you turn and go out through the bulkhead, down the maintenance corridor, back toward operations. Act 3, the infiltration. Your heart rate is objectively too fast. Your suit tells you so, and it seems too loud in your ears. Your chest tightens. The suit compensates without asking, feeding you air in precise, metered bursts. The lighting now flicker in overlapping cycles, never fully dark, never stable long enough to trust. The station feels out of phase with itself, like it's hesitating between versions. You come full circle back into operations, and you're not alone. They don't advance or speak. They stand beyond the central console, their silhouettes softened by haze and failing light. The air feels close, pressurized. The station hums beneath your boots. Your HUD registers a cluster of life signs. Then the display clears. No active life signs. No distress signal. Zero heat signature. For a moment, one figure is clear. The woman from earlier. She looks at you through the unstable light, her stance unchanged. You don't see her move. You don't see her breathe. Your stomach drops suddenly enough to steal your breath. You try to speak, to ask, "What's happening?" But the words never form. Somewhere behind your eyes, something presses again. More force this time, like fingers testing a bruise, and everything changes. You're aware of things you shouldn't be. Which corridors are sealed? Which bulkheads cycled in the last hour? Who last keyed override in engineering? Knowledge arrives intact, complete. It doesn't feel like thinking, no calculations or searching for answers needed. You just know. Your breathing falters, then resettles as the suit compensates again. Your HUD stutters. Data scrolls too fast to read, but comprehension settles anyway. You understand the numbers without seeing them. You trust conclusions you didn't reach. 7 seconds. The gap was not in the systems. It's been in your awareness. We are integrating. Your suit compensates again, quietly correcting for a body that is no longer fully in charge of itself. The lights stutter. Between one flicker and the next, they surround you. Empty faces, void of comprehension, not advancing, not reacting. Your HUD remains silent. No warnings, no countermeasures suggested. The pressure behind your eyes tightens, painfully patient. Act 4. The event. You run. You tear yourself away from the hold of this anomaly. The separation hurts in places pain doesn't usually reach. The knowledge doesn't leave all at once. It fractures, shedding itself in fragments. Painfully, you run through operations, toward the ship, toward the way out. It scratches and scrapes at your mind. It tries to hold you. Concepts half form in your mind and then rip away. Predictive models, structural shortcuts, exception handling logic. Your HUD floods with errors and then goes dark. These standing figures are along the perimeter of the room in the flickering light. You stop in your tracks. They stand and wait, but don't appear to want to stop you. You can clearly see the docking ring at the far end of the corridor and quickly move toward it, threading through the unmoving bodies. Power surges ripple ahead of you. Lights burn too brightly and then explode. Bulkheads slam out of sequence as you enter. By the time you reach the docking ring, blood is running from your nose. Your breathing is ragged, uneven. You know things, issued in schematics, thresholds that don't match published tolerances. At the same time, entire minutes of your own memory are gone, replaced by a blunt certainty that something important was interrupted. 7 seconds exposed, 7 seconds uncontested. You cycle the airlock. Pressure stabilizes. The hatch unlocks. You look back down the corridor. A figure stands where the light fails, 30 feet away. Always her, half lit, slack posture. Eyes open and fixed on you. You pass through the hatch into your ship. Epilogue. Debrief window. The engines come online. You release the ship and fire the thrusters. Your HUD remains dark, forcing you to fly by feel and muscle memory while auxiliary systems reboot in the background. You don't look back. The station drops off sensors without ceremony. No pursuit, no final signal. The jump window is already calculated. The destination scan completes. Experience has shown it isn't always trustworthy. You commit to it anyway. Displacement jumps can be difficult. There's no sensation of movement, just a brief loss of reference, as if the ship arrives before you do. For an instant, you have no coordinates, no sense of where you exist. Then alignment returns, not entirely different from what you just endured. Except a jump never lasts more than a moment, never that long. Later, much later, you will mark the job complete. The report will be precise, restrained, dense with qualifiers. You will note the missing time without attributing cause. You will reference anomalous signal behavior. You will document evidence of a foreign process interacting with station systems and biological telemetry, pattern acquisition without a clear point of origin. You will include schematics you don't remember accessing and omit details you cannot source. Review boards will debate whether the intrusion was environmental, systemic, or biological. They will use the word parasitic carefully. Then they will archive the file and authorize payment. You didn't authorize it, so how was the contract accepted in your name?
Thank you for listening to the Intrusion Event. Check the links below for more NebulaScript stories, games, and future transmissions. Join our Discord server for interactive scenario playthroughs, arena events, and additional archive content.